Hello, welcome back to Space Engineers. In today's video, we're looking at another long-range missile truck, where this one right behind me is called the Buffalo GMLS, which, as you can see, has two custom missiles at the back, which you can take over with custom weapon controller and blast your enemies with. Enemy for today is going to be none other than the Dex Fighter, the good old Dex Fighter, and I'll be able to show you how this thing works straight off the bat. So hopping into this side of the vehicle, here we go. I'm now going to come over to tab number 2 and press number 1. What's going to happen here is the pistons at the back with magnet plates attached onto them, or they'll go down to the ground, clamp in place so we can no longer move the vehicle around, and then I can press number 5 and take over the custom missiles, with a free camera looking at it like so. Here we go, I can now move this all the way up, move it all the way around, and well, once I'm ready, I can lock onto the enemy. There we go, actually come back into this camera view. That'll do quite nicely, so that's now going to fire off into the distance, realign the camera so we can actually follow it all the way along. And while one shot ready, you can press 8 or number 9. I'm going to press number 8. That's now going to launch the missile on the side. Off it goes. Now we just follow it all the way along. Best I can. And eventually it'll come over to the evil Dex Fighter. There it is. And slam straight into it, splitting it in half. And well, there's all of its gubbins just falling down to the ground to be cleaned up by the cleanup system. And that's all this vehicle does, which I've completely lost. And I have no idea where it is. That might be over there. Yes, it is. So yes, it's like many other custom missile vehicles I've showcased in the past, but this one does use blast edge block on the front there, which does act as a fantastic ramming spike, so even if the warhead does fail to go off, it's going to deal one hell of a lot of damage to especially small block grids, where, as you saw just a second ago, it just ends up splitting them in two. But no, I'm now going to grab hold of the character once again, actually put that back to how it was. There we go, so all the way down and around. We do have a projector on here, so we can project a new one and start repairing up, get it ready to go, and you can even set up a automated system to actually do that, drive the vehicle all the way over to it, or underneath it, have it repaired up automatically, then drive off to your destination to start blasting once again. My character just staying there for the moment, we're going to come around like so, now I'm going to press F10, find its spawn menu, then we'll go from there. So the Buffalo GMLS is 739 small blocks, using the Wasteland, Tom-Toms, Warfare 2, Deck Block number 3, Sparks of the Future, and the Heavy Industry DLC packs. We see up to here a nice bit of information about it, down to here to specifications, and all the way down on the bottom here, there are different variants of vehicles as well as other vehicles in this series they can download and check out yourself. So we'll give this thing a thumbs up, going to move around towards the very front, have a very quick look around the outside, go through all the controls, then we'll go fire another missile, and I believe that'll be that. So for the very front of the Buffalo, this is what we get, where as you can see we've got 4 heat vents with some barred windows right in front of it. Surrounding all that we've got these creamy steel blocks, but then some grey as well making up the main body of this vehicle. We once again, like many designs, use the neon tubes to fantastic use, acting as a small little basic connection point from those cream blocks to the grey blocks below those heat vents. We also got 2 spotlights to light the surrounding areas, and all the way down to here we see our suspensions being partially covered up by some more steel blocks. Move around onto the side, past our camp cockpits. There we are, got a little light, so you can always find the entrance to this vehicle. And as we were to move along the side here, we're going to see even more stuff of what we can press and just fiddle around with. So towards the front, we've got ourselves an access panel to open up. Right below that antenna, we've then got a warfare battery that comes across onto a button panel, which is going to have the retract and extend system, which will be for the pistons right over here. So you don't have to get into the cockpit to activate them, you can simply press them from the outside. And right behind that is a barrel to store a few bits and bobs inside if you want to. Over here is a program block that has the radar script on it, so you can easily detect enemies coming up against you. There's a little screen down to here, which says if there's any blocks damage on this vehicle. Next there's a handy little access panel to come inside and play around with. Then down to here we've got 2 buttons which don't actually do anything by default, but they are to attach on a trailer at the back. 1 button to attach, 1 button to detach. And right all the way across, some more grey use of the neon tubes in a yellow colouring this time, and fantastic use of the armor panel coming all the way up and over, like a mudguard. We'll come out to the very top section in just a moment. And there we are for the very back. Yes, up here, this is what we get for our custom missiles. So we see we've got an advanced rotor right there, and they've got a warning label saying hazardous environment. And all the way up to here, this is our custom missile. So yes, we've got a connector to actually connect it onto the vehicle. We've got hydrogen thrusters for each direction. Across here's a bit of power. There's your custom weapon controller. Then towards the front here, there we are with our warheads, then blast edge blocks at the very front. Coming all the way around, we've got 2 blast edge blocks. So yes, this thing's going to deal a nice lot of damage to wherever it hits. Then to your opposite side, there are more warheads, a little gap, there's your gyroscope, hydrogen tank, more thrusters, and in the middle of the camera that I use to actually aim it towards the Dex Fighter. And of course here on the unused spots, there's the merge block, which also helps connect it onto the vehicle. Looking all the way down, there's the very top section which is going to be spinning around. Then over here's your hinge to move it up and down to help precisely aim it, although you don't need to be too precise, you just have to be able to lock onto it and give yourself enough clearance to make sure you don't hit into this vehicle or hit into any kind of buildings nearby that you don't want to damage. As a whole, there we are. Towards the front, there's your barrel for the opposite sides, as well as a very sneaky spare wheel, which you can tear off and use to repair up one of the wheels on each side. Up there's an access panel running next to our warfare batteries, there's your hydrogen engines, more access panels, ore detector, and an exhaust block. Then over here's your 2 cab cockpits with a top mount camera in case you need it. Look around towards the very back because I did miss this out. There we are, so there's our red neon tubes this time. There's your half hinge, which is for the buttons on the side to connect up a trailer if you need to do that, as well as some more interior lights, anti-jump brake lights, and of course your indicators. And for the back of the missiles, there we are. And there's of course your projector to actually project out the missiles to repair them up once you've fired them. Moving all the way down underneath this thing, excusing all the grass here, there we are, we've got ourselves another battery, we've got ourselves our connector, our wheel suspensions, and then not really too much else to talk about other than our hydrogen tanks. And with that, that's a very brief look around the outside of the Buffalo. It looks bloody fantastic with how it's been set up. It's a very nice little vehicle to drive around, and a lot of fun to play around with, although I do love playing around with custom missiles. Now I'm going to grab hold of my character once again, bring out the HUD, because now it's time to actually go through all the controls. So number 1 could be your top mount camera, which is the one on top of your cab cockpit, get a good look at what's going on ahead of you. Coming out of that, number 2 is then for your AI defense block, number 3, number 4 select buttons on each side to detach and attach a trailer, number 6 then for your ore detector, number 7 is then for your hydrogen engines, 8 for your batteries to auto recharge, and then number 9 is for your antenna. Over to tab number 2, this is going to be for your missiles, where number 1, number 2 is once again for your little pistons at the back there to put them all the way down, and to lock that magnetic plate, and then to pull them all the way up automatically. Then they've got number 3 for some lights on the side, turn on and off. Number 5 is to take over the missiles. Then number 8 and 9 is to fire missiles, where you can see one of them is now grayed out, because I fired the left-hand side. But anyway, first person view, I suppose what I will do is just drive around for a little bit, because the Dex Fighter is now down on the ground. I don't think it's going to show up on the radar, because it is completely taken out by that first missile. So now we're going to drive this thing around, once I've pulled up the pistons at the back there, and see how it handles before spawning in something else and firing the missile. So now it's all the way up, here we go, we now drive this thing around. It behaves exactly how you expect from a land vehicle, a small land vehicle, where it feels very speedy, very maneuverable, and very easy to go from A to B. Third person view, looking around here, there we go. And then just doing a tight turn, making sure I don't tip this thing over, there we go. And then spinning it all the way around. So yes, plenty of control over this thing. It's very good, very quick, very nimble actually, which I suppose is what you want for a long-range missile truck. You're going to scoot to your destination, fire your missiles, then run away as fast as possible. Now we'll do spawn in another Dex Fighter, give it a space powers, then we'll launch the final missile, then that'll be that for this video. And so here we go, if I turn the camera a little bit, there we are, there is the evil Dex Fighter in the distance, locking onto that, and then preparing myself by coming over to tab number 2, pressing the 1 to put the pistons all the way down, lock this vehicle in place, although you don't actually have to do that, that is simply for some role-playing flair. But anyway, into this view, here we are, we're now going to lift this up, we've got plenty of clearance away from this vehicle, and I believe I'll just go and aim it like so. In fact, what I could do is just spin it all the way around and have it like that if I wanted to. In fact, that's how we're going to fire it. So go like this. There we are. And now in 3, 2, 1, pressing number 9, activating the missile, and away it goes into the distance. It's now going to fly up to here. Hopefully it will detect the enemy. There it goes, now spinning all the way around, almost a sharp 90-degree turn. And it might not be going for the one that I wanted it to go for. It looks like it is going for the other Dex Fighter. It looks like it is going for the closest target, so I did set up something wrong with that. But nonetheless, that's what this thing does. And now all I've got to do is activate that projector and actually create some more missiles. And there we go, I've now just launched both missiles once again. I did have to switch them on in the control panel to actually make them work. But there we are, there is the almost 90-degree turn. And they should hopefully be going for the correct Dex Fighter this time. So here comes this one. Yes, that is going for the correct one. I can see the Dex Fighter right in the very distance there. And in a few seconds time, I'm going to slam straight into it. How the other missile goes, I do not know. That just takes up the entire front. And then there we go, that one just goes and follows that up and destroys pretty much all of it. Well, there's not really too much that vehicle can do now. It's simply going to go float down to the ground or eventually crash into it. But no, as it stands, like I was saying, it's a fantastic little vehicle to use in your world if you want to have a custom missile truck that's very easy to repair up in creative mode and keep firing them out. But no, at the end of the day, it's a fantastic little vehicle, and I highly recommend checking it out yourself. So be linked to the description below to which you download and play on yourself. I highly recommend you do. I'll be back with another video some point soon. Bye bye.